allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you everyone for being here. I just want to make a small announcement, a little bit change of our meeting style or format. Before we begin, I want to explain how public comment will be handled during today's meeting. Members of the public will have an opportunity to comment on matters listed on the agenda. Public comment may be provided during the general public comment period at the beginning of each meeting. And there will be also an opportunity to comment on each agenda item when that item is taken up by the board. When we reach an agenda item, I will open public comment for that item before the board takes action. After public comment is closed, the board may discuss the item and consider any action. We ask that the public comments remain respectful, focused on the item being discussed and within the time limits established for the meeting. Thank you all for being here and participating in this public process. Okay, public comment. Per board policy 2350, any person may address the board at this time either on an agenda item or other matters of interest to the public that are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board. A maximum of 5 minutes is allowed for each speaker, with the maximum time of 15 minutes per item unless otherwise extended by the board. At this time, I'd like to invite anyone who would like to make a public comment concerning items on the agenda.
Thank you, Board President Macareno and members of the board, Juan Arzola. I just wanted to, commend the board in reevaluating the public access to the board meetings. And I would just like to throw something in there for you all to consider about allowing the public access through virtual participation. I speak on behalf of a colleague who is only able to participate in meetings through Zoom. As long as I've been coming to the board meetings, that colleague has not been able to represent her constituency because of the lack of opportunity to participate through Zoom. So maybe that might be something y'all can consider along with the agenda item you have on public access. That's it.
Thank you, Dr. Arzola. Are there any other comments for items on the agenda? Okay, I'll invite anyone who'd like to make public comments concerning items not on the agenda. Hello.
Good evening. My name is Yoon Kyung Park, and that means in Korean, a girl born in a leap year. And a lot of you know me as Rainbow. May is a hectic month for this institution. Graduations, finals, celebrations, and milestones. And with that spirit, we also celebrate Asian Pacific American Heritage Month. Many of us in Asian Pacific American community were raised in a simple mindset. You work hard, stay humble, and let your work speak for itself. And it's the value system that drives excellence, but it also means our contributions are often quiet and sometimes overlooked. Here in Central Valley, the quiet impact runs deep. Generations of Asian Americans, farm workers, small business owners, educators, and leaders have helped build this region, often without recognition. And that legacy continues right here at College of the Sequoias. I see it every day in our students, faculty, and staff, showing up, doing the work, supporting families, lifting this institution forward. And not for recognition, but because it's who they are. So for this month, we take a moment to say it out loud. Your contributions matter. Your presence matters. And your quiet excellence deserves recognition. But now I want to invite our own Maisua Lee to come up and speak about the cultural displays at College of the Sequoias. Thank you.
Good evening, board members and esteemed colleagues here at College of the Sequoias. My name is Maisua Lee. I am a librarian out at the Tulare campus. So really, I want to thank Rainbow for inviting me to share this moment with her and highlighting the cool display that we have on at the Tulare Library. It was a contribution from community members, students, faculty, staff that contributed to bring this display to life. I wish that we have photos today, but I did send something out on COS eNews, so feel free to reach out to folks who do have those video. It was like a makeshift video that I created along with photos in case if you do not have the opportunity to come out there, so that way you could see the video and the photos. But I also want to thank my director, Andrew Boring, whose mother sent a muumuu all the way from Hawaii to put on display. We also have display for students who are Hmong descent, as well as Laotian, and Chinese and Korean, and Rainbow's daughter's hanbok is on display in the library as well. So I just want to thank everybody who took part in making this possible, and just invite all of you to come out there and see the displays. Thank you.
Thank you for that addition to our board meeting.
The display in Tulare, that's going to be up until
next Wednesday.
a week from Wednesday.
You can see it in the morning. Ag Advisory.
Okay.
Go right upstairs.
In the library.
Is it open at 7 o'clock?
I'll open it for you.
The meeting will last until 8, so.
Okay.
Like you're gonna get there even a minute before 7, right? When the meeting starts, 8 o'clock.
Beautiful, thank you very much. Any additional public comments concerning items not on the agenda? If not, we'll move on now to, thank you again, board and executive staff reports. This would have been student trustee Ms. Martinez's last meeting, but she is not able to join us today. So we'll move on to board member reports. I want to say Dr. Aguilar. It is Dr. Aguilar.
You can.
It is correct,
you
but
can.
Trustee Aguilar, please.
Thank you, Board President. Just a couple of quick things for my board report. I was able to attend the University Center groundbreaking, and being only a trustee for a couple of months, obviously I had no involvement in that process. I just want to offer my sincere thank you to all those that did participate and were responsible for that. University Center and the groundbreaking, it was really a nice experience, and to hear the words from Dr. Sandoval from Fresno State and our board president Macareno, it's very inspirational in terms of what they shared and the message and the mission that we have serving our region of students who will really benefit from that University Center. So I'm really excited how that's going to play out. And then my second thing, I was able to attend the I want to make sure I get this right because I'm new at this. Community College League of California Annual Trustees Meeting down in Southern California. It was a 3-day event, and I got to go through various different breakout sessions and general sessions and try to learn, what this is about and get more familiar with my responsibility now as a trustee. And so I was really, really impressed with the presenters and the information that I learned from it. But what I also learned is that there is another Visalian that is a trustee in the state of California for another community college, and that's Southwestern College in Chula Vista. So on Saturday afternoon, the second day, I'm in a breakout session, and the presenter puts us in groups. And we're in a group, and we're talking, and the gentleman next to me says, "So where are you from?" And I had my name tag, and I said, "Well, I'm from College of the Sequoias in Visalia." And he goes, "Well, I know Visalia." And I go, "Really? How do you know Visalia?" He goes, "Well, I graduated from Mount Whitney." And I looked down at his name tag, and I go, "Who are you?" And it happened to be a gentleman that was a year ahead of me, and his sister was in my class. His name is Nicholas Segura, and he's a trustee for Southwestern College. And now we've been communicating, we've reconnected. He's shown me some things that they've done through bond passages and improving their college. So I'm really excited what we're doing in terms of what I just saw. And so it was just neat to know that there's another Visalian out there that's a college trustee. So That's my report. Thank you.
Thank you. First, apologies for missing the last meeting. I can't remember the last meeting I missed before that one, but in any event, I think the group handled it very well without me. So I'd just like to echo what Trustee Aguilar said about the groundbreaking for the University Center. I don't think we've yet, at least I don't think the community's yet grasped the impact of what's going to take place there. And I think I'm obviously very happy about that. I would also say that I've been to various functions where President Calvin has spoken and talked about that, the construction and the passing of the bond, and he always thanks the board. And quite frankly, I feel a little embarrassed because I feel like I didn't do a heck of a lot. We just, he had a vision and we approved it, and the foundation stepped in and provided some funding for that. So they need a lot of credit. Was happy to participate in the annual President's Cup golf tournament a couple weeks ago at Valley Oaks Golf Course, and that was a fun time. And I have to say, my back is still feeling the effects of carrying those other 5 guys on my back.
That's not the way they told me.
With that rod, we were in trouble. I will say we didn't finish last. So it was a good time and a good event.
That's the standard these days. We didn't finish last.
Thank you very much. Trustee Lane?
I would echo the comments with regard to the university groundbreaking. I also, recall that the majority of the time where the University Center and the bond, the successful bond effort and so on are discussed, they're most often discussed by our President Calvin. And it was really satisfying, I would say, to hear Fresno State's president give, a fair amount of credit to all those, those parties that participated, but most especially, I felt, to our President Calvin, and I think very, very much deserved. Also had a chance to sit through one of the, gosh, I don't know, dozens, I suppose, presentations that President Calvin makes to the individual school districts. And my goodness, somebody talk about a road show. I don't know that this guy is home very many nights of the week, but we certainly do. I appreciate all the time that you put in for certainly related, but seemingly unrelated topics that really we get to enjoy sort of that sunshine, as Ken was talking about. We get to bask in the glory of your excellence, and I appreciate that.
Thank you, Trustee Lane. On that last note, I need to give credit where credit is due. Dr. Osterk and Ryan Berry Souza and Tyler Verdon in our research office do a wonderful job of preparing an individual PowerPoint for every single one of our feeder high school districts. And he'll attest to the fact that they get it all prepared. I looked at it for a half hour on my way out the door, and all I have to do is go talk about it. And they just do a fabulous job of chronicling the success of the students from those feeder high school districts, so I can go and share with those boards just how well their students are doing. So kudos to you, Dr. Osterk.
If I may comment on it as well, I had the opportunity to attend your presentation in Orosi, and I think not only do you talk about their students and their former students, but getting them excited about what's to come, and the COS, and getting them all excited of the opportunities that we're developing now and in the future for those students. So thank you for sharing that information with the students.
We had a ball today with 7th and 8th graders from Ridgeview Ridgeview, the new middle school on the north side of town, right there at Riggins and Acres. Fabulous groups of kids. I think they were broken up into 5 or 6 different walking tours, and just a lot of fun to meet students at that age who have no idea what they're going to do for higher education. But a lot of fun to meet them and just talk about the benefits of higher ed in general. And we always tell them, listen, if UCLA or Stanford or Harvard doesn't work out right out of high school, we're the option, and we'll get you there in 2 years. It was just kind of one of our mottos. So a lot of fun to see young people on our campus just this morning.
Thank you. I wanted to comment on the groundbreaking as well. I had the honor to follow the giant and the bulldog in their presentations. An opportunity, of course, to thank the faculty, the staff, everyone involved at administration, but I did want to take a moment to thank the community as well for trusting COS. And it says a lot about who they're trusting when COS is be given an opportunity to do something very special with $95 million. And so we definitely want to or appreciate being trusted, but also want to make sure that it's going to benefit this, not only this local community, but the region. And so, again, an opportunity to break ground on a great product that we're going to have to lower barriers for many students. So it was definitely an honor to be there. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I think it was a great day to be a giant for all of us. And I also think the community recognizes that rather than just hatch an idea and come and ask for money, we waited 2 decades for the city or the county or the state to do something. I mean, UC Merced went to Merced. We were in the running for that. It didn't work out. And at that time, I was just moving home from Southern California, and there was outrage. I mean, people were prepared to do something about it, and it just never got done. And so we just continued to talk about it as a community for over 2 decades until COS finally said, you know, we need to do something about this. And so we partnered with Fresno State in 2016 or so, because really we wanted to demonstrate demand for 4-year degrees in the South Valley, the second largest county in the entire state out of 58, without a publicly funded 4-year option. And 50% of our graduates, 50% of Reedley, Porterville, West Hills, Taft, they don't pursue higher ed past an AA degree because of location issues. And that's obviously a barrier to a lot of things for our community. Folks, there's a reason we get warehouse jobs and not technology jobs. On my speaking tour, I didn't start this, but somebody said, and there's also a reason that we don't have a Trader Joe's. And there's a little bit of, Trader Joe's looks at demographics and BA and BS attainment levels before they place a store. So there's a lot of dynamics there, and we just felt like it was important for us to step into that gap, which is all we did. We partnered with Fresno State, spent several $1 million to get the program rolling, and then once we demonstrated demand, what did we do? We went and put some of our own skin in the game, even though this is not going to result in a dime of extra direct revenue for us. Obviously there's some goodwill there that's worth something, but it's not going to result in any new revenue for us. Those are Fresno State students, and those students will pay Fresno State to be there. But we invested about $12 million of our own reserves in order to buy the property, 3 apartment complexes, and 3 commercial buildings plus Foster's Freeze. That was all through our board. That was the commitment. And it makes it a lot easier to pass a local GO bond when you've demonstrated demand right off the bat over almost a 10-year period, and you've invested $12 million of your own money. And you can show that we're not going to benefit from this directly. And that's really what the key was. And our board was fabulous. Never would have happened without our foundation board stepping up and assisting us with some of the costs that could not be borne by the district. So, yeah, it was certainly a wonderful, groundbreaking ceremony. Looking forward to the ribbon cutting ceremony. That's really the fun one. So thank you all for those kind words.
Dr. Calvin, you've been passionate, you continue to be passionate, and we look forward to that passion on that day for ribbon cutting, so.
All right.
To close out my report, just wanted to share that I also joined Trustee Aguilar in the conference, an opportunity again to look at what's fresh, new, being discussed at a state level. Of course, wanted to do the ethics training, the Brown Act, all the information kind of just to build, continue to make sure that COS is right on track. And it was really exciting to see all the things that trustees are talking about as far as the future of their students and the different programs and things that are happening throughout the state. So I did appreciate that opportunity as well. With that, I will now transition to invite Mr. Foster to share the foundation report.
Good evening, trustees. I honestly don't have a foundation report, but in the context of the conversation we just had, I thought it'd be interesting to share. I just had a very, very preliminary meeting with a medical partner of the college, and Dr. John Shingle and I met with them. And it was talking about expanding internship programs and apprentice-type programs for nurse practitioners and physician's assistants. And so building pipelines along that. And what came out of that conversation organically was the need to have a 4-year program locally. And where would we house that? Of course, the University Center is the stage on which we could perhaps have Fresno State or any other institution of higher education beyond a two-year college like ours to provide that space and provide that opportunity to grow our own in this other medical field besides the nursing that we're already doing with our nursing program and then the BSN program provided by the Fresno State. So it's already in conversations, and again, nothing promised. It was very preliminary, but I just thought it struck me as like, wow, we've got this new tool that we're going to be able to start using to do these kinds of things with. So,
Thank you. Thank you very much.
thank you.
I'd like to invite Dr. Wilcoxon to share the accreditation report.
There's no report at this time for that.
Okay. Then we'll turn it over to Dr. Calvin, Superintendent President's report.
Okay. Well, we've been obviously really busy with the ceremonies before the ceremony. So many of our programs have their own program-specific graduation ceremony, and just before we came in, I was trying to count the number on my calendar. I came up with 22 ceremonies over the last 3 weeks plus a couple of days. That might be light. That might just be the ones that got on my calendar. But man, what a blessing it is to be able to celebrate with students like that. I think Tim just left, but he and a couple of others came up with this awesome idea, which was to do the pipe and drape and tables and carpet in our Porter Fieldhouse for about a 10-day period. And there were days where we'd have 3 or 4 events. Last Friday, we had the Employers Appreciation Breakfast in the morning. We had 2 program-specific grad ceremonies, one late morning, one early afternoon, and then that night we had an event in there. We had one on Saturday night, Sunday night. The previous Thursday kicked off the whole thing with a scholarship night. So 22 ceremonies, just amazing. And then that season kind of culminated out on the quad this past Friday. We had over 300 employees as well as former Giants, retirees, join us for the Giant Awards, where we award something to full-time faculty, part-time faculty, staff member, community member, and administrator. Happy to report that Marianne Betancourt, longtime foundation member, founder of the Power of the Purse, which donates $25,000 to $30,000 a year in student scholarships to single parents. She was our community member of the year. Shane Heddick, our local COS PD sergeant, was our classified staff member of the year. Candy Cowings, who's in our child development program and goes out and checks on all the various clinical locations that we have. She was our part-time faculty member of the year. Heather Moore, Dr. Heather Moore, was the full-time faculty member of the year. And then Dr. Jonna Shingle, retiring Dr. Jonna Shingle, was our administrator of the year. So we had a great time, taco truck, bunch of great desserts, and I just wanted to thank everyone for attending. Oh, there she is right there, Dr. Jonna Shingle, administrator of the year. How long were you out there waiting for me to announce you? I just want to, first of all, thank all of our retirees. I think we ended up with 50 or 60 of them, which was just wonderful to be able to pay homage to them and the foundation that they've built here for all of us. And then also to PACE, which is our professional development wing of classified staff members. And they just do a fabulous job with these kind of events. And, you know, we, from the president's office, we do a handful of things, but they're just amazing and set the whole thing up. Obviously, it had a 100-year celebration theme to it. So we had old pictures all over the place. People were teasing me, and they said, "You didn't always have gray hair like you have now?" And I said, "No, I had none before I started this job." But it was a good time had by, we've still got a number of ceremonies to go, but yeah, 22 over about 3 weeks. Quick reminder, graduation next Thursday, the 21st, 5 o'clock and 8 o'clock. We will fill the Mineral King Bowl 2 times. It's like cowhide football games back to back. We'll get 9,000 people there at 5. Somehow get them out of there by the time we start at 8 and do it all over again. So should be a lot of fun. I would say plan to get there early, and you'll probably be right on time because traffic gets backed up on especially the freeway, that exit. Also want to congratulate our architecture program. They attended the Cal Poly Design Village contest, which is primarily 4-year institutions, but some 2 years, and they walked away with the most innovative design award for a structure. They try to make structures that you can live in over the weekend and whatever, and so pretty impressive for a 2-year program to go over there and take away such a prestigious honor. And then speaking of prestigious honors, one of our women's equestrian team writers recall that there's not many community colleges that have women's equestrian. We do because our Tulare campus is just so unique that way. And so we end up competing against Fresno State, Nevada, Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo, Stanford, and several other notable 4-year universities just in our region. And routinely, are as competitive as any. We win as many of those matches, if you will, or shows than any of them do. And that in turn gets us back to the regionals, which were down in Las Cruces, New Mexico this year, hosted by New Mexico State. And then we ended up back in North Carolina for the national championships. And we've had some national runners-up before. Maybe especially in they've got several different divisions. But this year, we brought home a legit natty, the highest division in the high point reining, they call it. Fast, a lot of moves and so forth. And our very own Maddie Nevels brought home a national championship. Unbelievable. Yeah. Competition there was Oregon State, Nebraska, Mississippi State, Texas A&M, and she won the natty in that event, which also, it's kind of like gymnastics at the Olympics. You know, you can win one event outright, and then that helps you place higher in the overall. She ended up getting 4th overall in the nation, 1st overall in that one category. Absolutely incredible. And we met her on Friday night. That was one of the 22 events they had their Women's Equestrian Dinner and year-end fundraiser. So a lot of fun there. So another great day to be a Giant.
Wonderful. Any questions for Dr. Calvin?
Yeah, President Calvin, where is the young lady from?
Maddie is from, gosh, Luann's not here to tell us. I want to say she's from Tulare County. Oh, Michelle's.
She's local.
Yeah.
Okay, that's, yeah,
Because Elle, kind of her partner in crime, Elle, she's from San Diego. The one that had the story in San Luis about when 4 or 5 of them were they were over there for a show in San Luis Obispo, and they were out all together for dinner, and apparently a homeless man chased 4 or 5 of them. And we only knew about it because when they were introducing them, they had to list their most memorable moment for the year, and 4 or 5 of them had that as their most memorable moment. So we heard about it over and over again, and Elle was the one apparently that kind of started all the not drama, but started the situation over there.
So the way we compete with 2-year versus 4-year, is she entitled to a scholarship to move on to a 4-year and still compete in the same,
I think she's going to Fresno State in the fall on scholarship. Yeah.
on scholarship?
Yeah.
Dynamite.
Yeah. Yeah, Maddie Nevels. Thank you. She's from Exeter.
thank you. Ask and you shall find out.
Next time, just direct it straight at Lauren if it involves research.
Very good. Any other questions for Dr. Calvin? Okay. Thank you for your report, Dr. Calvin. At this time, I'd like to invite Dr. Arzola to do the Academic Senate President's Report update.
All right, good evening, Doctor, I'm promoting you already, Board President Macareno, members of the board, colleagues. I just wanted to first apologize for a couple of meetings that I've missed here recently. Just got away from me, my schedule got overbooked. I do have a couple things that I just want to make sure I mention here. The Academic Senate held its elections for new officers, and we do have a new slate coming in. We have Academic Senate President is going to be Joshua Geis from English. And our Secretary Treasurer is going to be Tim's partner in his department, Tim Hauk. And then State Senate Delegate is going to return for a second term, Rami Alavimog Hadam. We did have a individual who was elected as the Academic Senate Vice President, but that individual, upon further reflection, recognized that it's not a good time in their life to pursue that really important position. So this Wednesday, we're going to hold a special election for the Academic Senate Vice President, and hopefully sometime in June, either myself or the incoming president will report who that officer is going to be. And as you guys know, with the new election of a new president, I was true to my word this time around. I wasn't coming back. So I want to just take this time to express my appreciation you guys inviting me, allowing me to represent the faculty on matters that are related to the academic and professional matters for faculty. I know I've probably rubbed some of you raw a couple times, and the feeling is mutual, but I never lost respect for this board. And I agree with Dr. Calvin, Dr. Lacerna, and others. We have the best board in the state. That's my opinion as well. And I want you guys to keep up doing the good work. And I look forward to any opportunities that I might be able to collaborate with any of you. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Dr. Mazzola.
Thank you for your kind words, and just want to say thank you for the time you've invested to represent the Academic Senate and for presenting here and keeping us up to date. So thank you for the work that you've done, and we appreciate it very much.
I concur, Dr. Ozola. The president of the Academic Senate is there's a ton of work involved, and people on the outside looking in don't necessarily understand that, but you get pulled in a lot of different directions. So thank you for your service.
Okay, with that, I'd like to invite Ms. Redden, which I don't see Ms. Redden here today, for the Costa President's Report. Anyone representing Ms. Ms. Reda? If not, Ms. Kane for CSEA President's Report. Anyone here representing CSEA? Okay. COSAFA President's Report, Ms. Alberti. Anyone here to represent COSAFA? Seeing none, we'll move on to information. This is an information-only item, but no board action will be taking place. However, because of the item is listed on the agenda, we will open public comment before the board receives or discusses the item. With that, I'll turn it to Mr. Perez for the quarterly update.
Thank you. Good evening, Board. So these next three reports that you'll see is all part of, supports the board priority 7, fiscal stability and transparency, and also BPAP 6300, fiscal management, even though we do it every day, but on a quarterly basis, we get up in front of the board to go over the numbers and answer any questions that you may have. So Kenneth, could you scroll down to, and you usually see this report on your monthly as a consent, but again, quarterly, we go over this. Second page. There we go. So the highlight, again, we're showing the difference between May 11th through to April 13th. On the left-hand side is the unrestricted budget. You'll see our total revenue is 115 million. Total expenditures about 110 million. We're showing a surplus of, at this point in time, $5.44 million surplus. Then on the right-hand side is what we call restricted, mostly categoricals and grants. As the money, as the revenue comes in, has to be spent. So you'll see revenues and expenditures always equal. So the bottom line is 0. There's never a surplus or a deficit. And then again, if you scroll down a little bit more, you'll see on the restricted side, go to one more page. Yeah, on the restricted side, they picked up 660,000, and you'll see the response there, a strong workforce increase. And it's basically timing that comes in. So 650,000, and then miscellaneous 9,000 right there. And go to the next page. And this is a recap. So when we took the budget to you in September, the final adopted surplus showed 1.9 million. Then every month, if there's something comes or is an addition or subtraction, you'll see it right there. So I'm going over to the right-hand side. You'll see in February, we showed a surplus of 1.7 million. Then all of a sudden, in March, we're showing a surplus going from 1.7 to 5.4 million. So let me stop and explain that. So as you know, our fiscal year runs July 1st through June 30th. 12 months is a fiscal year. However, the state does not close out your fiscal year till 8 months till after that fiscal year closes. So February is when we get our true recalc, and we get our first look at the real numbers for this current fiscal year. So all that's saying is we picked up 3.7 million for this current fiscal year. Reason being is our FTS went up, more growth. Our demographics, the clientele of our students went up. Remember, the student center funding formula, there's 3 pillars: FTES, the clientele, and the success matrix. All 3 of those went up. Basically, it meant 3.7 million to us. So bottom line, as we come down to the last highlighted, we're showing 5.4 million there. Scroll down a little bit more, next page. And then this is a projection of how we're doing so far. Annual projection of revenue, 115 million. We've collected 83. Again, because our budget is 115 million general fund, doesn't mean starting 1 July we get the money all up front. The state pays you in percentages throughout the whole fiscal year. So we've collected about 73% of what's due to us. But I do want to note that there is state has projected a 3% deficit. So though they may owe us 115 million, they're on the hook for owing us 4 million that they can't pay us. But they reassure us that at the end of the fiscal year, that deficit go from 3% to 0. If not, we do have contingency to take care of that because we still have to pay bills. So that's on the revenue side. Next page is the expenditure side. Again, it's the same annual projection, we're 106 million. Year to date, we spent 85. It's our third quarter, so 78%. So we have a couple more months in the fiscal year, so everything's right on target. Next page. This is a financial statement that we sent to the Tulare County Office of Ed. We're not fiscally independent. The county office holds all of our funds in-house in their area. So I do want to point out, there's a couple things here. As you look at it and you see a red number, it's like, why is that account in the red? Well, let me explain that to you, just a couple things. It caught us, a couple of us off, going, why is that red? So if you blow that up a little bit so we can see that, I'm looking at Tulare Geo Bond, the 52,367. So that means July, if you look on the left-hand side, July 1st of 25, it started as a balance of 52.3. Revenue to date, that's interest, $501. The expenditures, a little over 52,000. You see the ending fund balance is zero, but that really what that difference is the difference between revenue collected and expenditures going out. So if you take that negative 52,367 plus 52,367 is revenue, and the interest that we brought in, it's zero. So what we're going to do to make it easier to anybody looking at this report, we're going to switch those rows, just so you know. So it really said beginning fund balance, revenue expenditures, that difference there, either plus or negative, and then what's the true ending fund balance there. So they're not really in the hole there. Again, if you look over to the right-hand side, if I say a Geo Bond, beginning balance 91 million. Revenue, we've collected about 2.7 million in interest to date. Expenditures, we've paid out 4 million. We're not in the hole, it's just expenditures over revenue. So the 1.24 comes from the 91.2, so we're at 89.9 or $90 million. So that's how that works. I just wanted to point that out, that we're not in the red there, it's just the way the report works. But we'll fix it, we'll switch those rows next month when you see that. And then the next couple pages are mostly for the County Office of Ed. Again, as we issue warrants, they like to see and make sure that we have cash in the bank and there are funds. But I do want to point out the CCFS 311, which is our financial report. Every quarter we go, or every month, or every quarter we go over this with the board. And this is our financial statement. The first two columns are prior year ones. So 22, 23, 23, 24, I won't go over those. I do want to touch on 24, 25 that are in the blue. Last year we ended up with a fund balance of 31.3 million. Remember, it takes 8 months for the state to close out the fiscal year. We call it a recalc. So February, not only we got current year, we got a recalc of last year that ended. So they didn't have enough, when they say they, the state didn't have enough funding to fund growth. So if you look on the right-hand side, the negative 254,000 on row D1, so they reduced our fund balance, or they took away 254,000 for us. So we have to reduce that from our fund balance. So our fund balance adjusted goes from 31.3 for a little over 31 million, which is in D2. However, if you remember the other report I just showed on earlier, row C, we're showing 5.4 million as a surplus. Add that to the 31, we'll be at 36.5 or 33.2% of general fund balance to general fund expenditures. I'll tell you right now, it will not be that way because we do have plans as part of the integrated planning and resource allocation that you'll see next, is we do have some ideas on what to do with those one-time surplus dollars. So right now, we're showing 5.4. If all that would fall to the fund balance, it'd be at 36 million. But the next report will show something different there.
Hey, Ron, if we looked at that 24, 25 column and down on the 31, the 31.3 mil, would that, if we looked at the June 30 audited financial statement, is that the number we would see there?
That's the number. We
for the
balanced
most
to
part?
that number, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. That ties to our audit.
You have the state average for,
State average is about 30%.
30, okay.
So we're right in the ballpark there.
Yeah, great.
But what skews it is all the basic aid districts that have tons of money. Yeah, so.
Basic aids are the 4 districts in the state whose property taxes, which actually make up a very small part of our total revenue, but in San Mateo, Oceanside, South Orange County, and San Jose, those are the 4. There's a couple of them that flirt with it and occasionally get in it, but those 4 districts make or receive more in their property taxes than they would in the student success funding formula that we rely on. And so when that happens, they don't get anything through the chancellor's office. They just keep all of their property taxes. And some of those districts end up getting double what they would have gotten in the regular format. South Orange County being one, and you can see why, just because the assessed value of homes and so forth is quite large. So those four kind of skew the numbers. Even when we're looking at employee wages, we've worked our way up to number 5 or number 6 in the entire system out of 115 colleges, 73 districts. And care to guess the 4 that are ahead of us? Those basic aids that don't depend on chancellor financing. So we've been very, very lucky otherwise to be able to do what we've been able to do over the last 10 years.
Yeah, we heard from districts that have over 50%, and then those that are advocating for it to be about 16%. So it was interesting to hear those conversations.
The 16% is there are some folks, the minimum you're supposed to have is 2 months worth of cash. If you've got to go without cash for 2 months, that's 16.67%. I'll just tell you, that's not enough, because anytime that you get on the state's list for this Hanford Science Building alone, think about it. We're lucky enough to be on that list to get those funds, but it's a $70 million, $65 million project. We're gonna have to come up with 17 million or so, 16.5 million in our 25% match. If we were only allowed to carry 16.67% of our annual revenue, it would be about that much, and we'd have to have that cash on hand for those times where we went without cash. So being able to save for a project like that would be near impossible. Those are just special interests, special interest groups that don't like to see districts plan well like we've planned well. I mean, we've got the 5th or 6th highest salaries in the state. It benefits everyone when we can do some good, sound financial planning. And there are some funny advocates out there that don't want to see that kind of. I would also say you don't need 100% reserve, which we've seen that a time or two, but that's a select few districts.
Yeah.
Keeping it in the 30% range it makes us all sleep better at night.
Agreed, thank you.
Okay, just an example of a basic aid, I was just looking at it before we came here. Maricosta Student Center funding formula, they actually get 90 million above what the funding formula gives them, just because properties where they're located. So that's a basic aid. So,
Oceanside, yeah.
Yeah, that's in Oceanside. So any questions on the CCFS 311? If not, I'll move on to the next item.
I'm going to ask if anyone would like to make public
Oh,
comment based on this item. If not, are there any questions or comments for Ms. Perez? Okay. Please continue.
I should have started saying that before I presented to the board and to our colleagues, is we did meet with the board finance subcommittee, so they've seen this report. So the next one is one-time funds, and if you go to the second page, Kennetha, I want to give you an overview, or the third page, overview of the integrated planning model. Because what you're hearing now, you've heard about above base, you heard about base budget augmentation that you hear shortly, you hear about faculty hires, you hear about one-time, what you're going to hear right now is, this is the support of our integrated planning. Decisions are made using data, of course. So on the left-hand side was the program review one-time funds. That was $300,000 that the district allocates annually. Everybody puts in a program review. All the all the vice presidents meet with their constituents and their departments. We look at it, budget committee scores those, and we allocate them. You see them in February. The money is allocated to departments. They have until June to spend. If not, we carry it over. We don't penalize them. They'll carry it over for one more fiscal year. That's the left, the above base. The yellow seat base budget means, Dolly, if I give you you have 5,000 in your budget, you're going to start with 5,000. You can do anything you want with it, but you're not getting more. You can reallocate it however you see fit. That's base budget. Rainbow has done that in Leangela. Right-hand side is going to be the next one, is ongoing base budget augmentations, which are ongoing expenditures to the general fund budget. I'll talk about that shortly, the next presentation. As you go down, Kenneth, program review, new faculty, that was presented to you in December. And then what we're talking about right now is one time. So occasionally, there's going to be one-time funds that are going to show us a surplus, which is the $5.44 million that we just talked about at the first report. President Calvin and myself work with senior management to come up and say, are there needs district-wide that we can use this money for? Some examples, and you heard President Calvin talk about it. $12 million for the University Center. We bought all the strip mall, the apartment buildings and all that, did the University Center. $10 million for the Applied Technology and Trades complex over at Tulare. We're able to use the GEO bonds and our money to build that complex. Other post-employment benefits, OPEB, you heard that. We're one of the few districts that fully fund our OPEB. Long-term debt, we paid off all of our long-term debt, besides the GEO bonds, of course. Photovoltaic projects, Hanford and Tulare. Utilities are going up. We're trying to beat the utility companies for skyrocketing the utilities. So we also have PV going up here in Lot 7 here, probably in the next month or so. So that'll be a big one there. And then we purchased the Training Resource Center. So there's a lot of things that we're doing with this one-time dollars that benefits the needs of the district. So if you kind of go back up to the first page, and I'll kind of give you an overview as you, so we're showing $5.44 million. We're requesting $1 million go to information technology. Reason being is laptops, replacing laptops, the computers in the classroom, the labs, smart classrooms, what you see here, the projectors, adding more Wi-Fi district-wide, that's a cost. They had a 3-year, $3 million plan. It's taken about 5 years. We're getting there. Again, this is informational for you now. Next month there'll be action, so if you approve it, it'll take 5 years to get their 3-year plan funded. I know Dave will be happy. Yeah, exactly, if we get that going. And then the other $4 million is going to the Hanford Science Building. If you go to the last page, Kenneth. Again, this was a surprise to us, but a great surprise to us in the governor's budget released in January. We put in for this building. We didn't have no idea that it was going to be scored so high or they were going to fund it. So this Sequoia's Hanford Educational Building, or we could call it the Science Building. On the far right-hand side, the state recognized a $67 million project. However, we as a district have to come up with 25%. So that's about $15.9 or $16 million. So this $4 million that we're requesting will be just to start to meet our required contribution of $16 million. We'll need $16 million by fall of 30 for that. Because right now, the state will fund us 51, we'll spend it, we'll send invoices in and they'll reimburse us. So again, this is just for information. I'll bring this back to you with tentative budget for your approval for action item.
Any comments for Mr. Perez? Okay, thank you very much. Next item.
Next item is, again, can you give me that little screen again? Do I have that? There we go. So the right-hand side, ongoing base budget augmentations per AP 3261. This is what we do every year, part of our budget development. What happens is everything's in program review, everything's data-driven. Each of the vice presidents and the president has their deans, their manager, what have you, saying, what are your needs for next year? It can be discretionary, which is operational supplies, and staffing. So again, if you go to the cover page, or no, I'm sorry, go to the cover page to the memo. I'm sorry, Kenneth, I'm messing you up. Here we go. So we got them all. We took a look at it. So 26-27, the total amount for discretionary and new staffing is about $4.6 million. We looked at it. We looked at our fiscal, what is our threshold to add new ongoing expenditures, discretionary new staffing? In senior management, what we call tier 1 priorities, we're looking at approving $2.67 million. Of that, $796,000 is discretionary dollars. The other 1.8 is staffing, either new staffing or staffing that we're taking on from a categorical or a grant because those are ending or can't afford those staff. So instead of laying them off, which we don't want to do, we absorb them in the general fund. So that's what we're doing. Yes, Ken?
So Ron, if I understood you correctly, this total of the 2.6 would be ongoing, reoccurring expenditures
Yes.
year after year?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'll go down, so I won't go line by line, but I'll just give you a description. So left-hand side is the division and the department. The middle part is the description and the dollar amount. Of course, we start with academic services, scroll down to go through student services, it'll go through admin. So you see total discretionary right there at top. So of that, of all the divisions, 796. And then we go tier one, those are the new staffing. So the new staffing this year, we have 5 new classified positions. We have 1 classified position being converted from part-time to full-time, and we have 1 new manager. And you'll see on the left-hand side the areas, locations. Middle is the description of the classified and what the basic range is to include salary and benefits there. That's tier one, meaning it's going to be in the budget for tentative. If you scroll down again, you'll see the next, so total new staffing is 613, and then the next portion is what I just talked about. If we're taking, if a categorical or a grant, either can't afford it anymore or is not getting COLA, we move it over to the general fund. So again, you'll see some Song Browns. That's a nursing grant, I do believe. Is that correct, Jonna?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Strong Workforce, Guided Pathways.
It's a nursing growth grant, so you had to increase your enrollment to get that money.
And then the middle column is how many positions we're talking about. So Song Brown, Strong Workforce, Guided Pathways. We knew at one point in time that the district would need to absorb that from the categorical grant into the general fund. So we've been talking about that for the last 2 to 3 fiscal years.
Which is why we're very selective in the amount of grants that we take on. There are districts that will take darn near any grant and write them as long as the money stays intact, and then just discontinue the program, lay people off. That's just not our culture. We normally just pursue grants that we will be able to institutionalize, once the 3 or 4 years run out. So it does take a fair amount of planning just to make sure that, first of all, it's going to benefit the institution for decades to come, and you got to make sure that your budget's prepared for it when the grant runs out.
So these positions here that are listed, they're already currently with the college, right? You're not adding.
No,
You're just.
these are, we're absorbing them, we're taking them.
Yeah, redefining
redistributing the
how
funding
you're
source.
funding it. Got it.
Yes.
Okay.
So the next one would be Student Affairs, the director. Currently, that person is being paid a split 38% general funds, 62 student fees. But as folks go up in steps or COLA, that reduces the amount in the student body funds, which means the students will suffer. So he can't do what he usually could do for the student clubs or the students. So we're moving it from 38% general fund to 60% general fund, frees up a little over 61,000 for him to be able to benefit the students. District Police, you'll see where the chief is currently funded 75% out of general fund, 25 out of police budgets. We're moving that from 75-25 split to 100% split. And his staffing, even though there's 70-30 split general fund police budgets, we're making it 75-25 or 62,055. Reason being is, remember, we haven't increased parking permit fees to the students. I don't know, the last time we've increased them, probably pre-COVID, right? Probably pre-2019. They operate on the revenue generated from that. So we want to be as helpful to our students.
Our parking fees are 25, 28, 30?
25?
$25 per semester. If you have a child at CSU or UC, they're about 20 times that, about $500. It's crazy.
So again, that frees up a little over 116,000 in the parking budget for them to do other things with that. And then there's a full-time position in the foundation, currently 100% foundation. The agreement between the foundation and the district is 50% we'll take on for 26-27, but we know in 27-28 that position will become 100% general fund there. So the total reallocating coming from all of those various categorical and grants 1.269 million. So total staffing, new and reallocated, 1.8. So that total plus the discretionary 2.6 million, that'll be in our tentative budget. That sounds like a lot, but let me get to the other slides to show how we can afford that. So the next slides,
Bob,
again.
before you go there,
Uh-huh.
just a quick question, if you don't mind. In the category that totals up new staffing, 613,000, I noticed there's some technology position and custodian position. I know in the past we've had some issues that there were some positions that had not been filled. Does this kind of address those issues?
No, these are positions, I haven't heard about that, but these are new positions on top of anything that's not filled.
Okay,
Yeah, these are brand-new positions.
right. Well,
Yeah.
which in a roundabout way does answer my question.
It has.
with
And then a couple slides ago in a previous presentation, you saw 1.4 million in vacancies. So those are positions that we haven't hired for. So add these new ones, so it's combined of staffing. And then the next pages are, so this is just a summary. If you really wanted to get in the details, or anybody else out there, these are the details. So left-hand side is, and I have color-coded, academic, student services, president's office in my area, admin services. Goes over the areas, what they were needing, and what we approved there. So everything's all detailed out there. If anybody wanted to tie that to the summary memo, all the information is there. Then the next page shows what we've done the last 6 years, talking about discretionary and staffing. So over the last 6 years, we've added ongoing expenditures to the general fund budget in the tune of $12 million. Discretionary, a little over $5 million, staffing, $7 million. You'll see in 24-25, that 1.8, we did what we just showed you, reallocating of staffing. That was due to one of our largest categoricals, or probably our largest categorical here in the district, our Student Equity and Achievement Grant. They don't get COLA, but a lot of those people, a lot of the staff are paid out of that. So what they do is they reduce their operational, and it comes to a point where we can't operate the program if we don't have the money. So we absorb that, we knew that. So there's a fight up and down the state. All the CBOs, the CSSOs are asking, CEO, they're asking for COLA for that one categorical. That would make a tremendous help, but hasn't gone anywhere, but I just wanted to show you what we've done the last 6 years in discretionary and new staffing or reallocated staffing.
As an example, the state will give us, let's call it $5 million in categorical funding and say, this is just for student equity and achievement. You know, hire counselors and specialists and outreach folks. And you're supposed to spend those down to zero year one, right? We know that about categoricals and grants. Spend that down to zero. Don't roll it over. Spend it down to zero. Great, but then the following, so you do that. You follow their direction. You hire up to what the categorical budget they've given you is. And then in year two, what happens? A COLA comes through, statewide COLA. We negotiate with our units, of which they're part of, for a 2 or 3% increase. But we've followed the orders and we've hired right up to the 5 million. So that 3%, 150 grand, has nowhere to fit in there. So you're either having to reduce the number of people that make up that 5 million by 150, which we don't like to do. You know, we just don't like to do that. Or we absorb that 150 through our general fund. And you go too many years like that, and you end up having to have something like we had in 2024-25, where we brought several of them over onto our general fund entirely.
The third option, which is not one we want to go down, is to not have an across-the-board 2.5% increase, lower that to make up for the COLA that you're not getting for those folks, which I don't think that would go very well, and I don't know that I would.
Well, let you propose that. but
I'm not gonna do it. It's an option.
You're right, it is a, hey, trust me, I mean.
I didn't say it was viable.
It factors in, yeah, but that's what you would do if in a lot of businesses and certainly a lot of educational institutions, that's what happens. There's not a full COLA pass-through for situations exactly like that.
So the last page, as you just saw, 2.6 million. How are we going to afford this? Well, I'll tell you how we're going to afford this. Again, this is all predicated on the May revise. The governor comes out with the May revise May 14th. So as this is all tentative based upon the information that we do get. Revenue has gone up. We just heard 5.4 million as a surplus. Remember, we received 3.7 increase based upon FTES, demographics, and our student success. We do put a deficit in our budget just in case. So we're showing a 1%, they're showing a 3%. We're hoping it's going to be 0. So if it's 0, we'll get into back in our budget a little over $1.1 million. And then what we look at is based upon the numbers right now and what our enrollment numbers are looking at, we're analyzing what we sent to you in September and what we're showing as right now, what would our new adopted budget be. So it's $4.28 million above. 10.9 million, sounds like a lot of money. It is a lot of money, but let me show you how it goes away real quick. So these are our budget assumption expenditures. New faculty, 16, 7 retirees we're filling, so the net 1.5 million. Step and column, all of those employees that are not maxed out on step and column, 1.2. Our pay raise, COLA right now is at 2.41, so that's about 2 million. 1% above that is our last year of our CBA, collective bargaining agreement, 814,000. Our health premiums have went up about 11%, 510,000. So that total is over at 6 million. And then what we just went over earlier was the base budget augmentation. You see that discretionary staffing new, staffing transfers at 2.6. So of that, add the subtotal of 6 and the 2.6, we're at 8.7. We're showing right now revenue over expenditures, tier 2, 2.1. Again, just a reminder, we took to you in September a adopted budget showing a surplus of 1.9. So we know it's probably going to be more because remember, 8 months after that year ends, I'm hoping that our success metrics, our FTS, and all 3 of those have gone up. So we'll gain some money there. So we're looking at a 2.191 surplus. And then what I do want to point out, you'll see tier 2.
You did those without tier 2.
Yeah,
so-
I'm sorry, I said tier 2. That's without tier 2. So tier 2 is those 2. Did I talk about those earlier? I don't think so.
No, that's all right. It's at the-
So there's 2 positions that are funded out of, I'm looking at Jonna because it's her area. Strong Workforce, is it? Okay. About $400,000. If the budget comes in, the May revise looks good, and we can afford to put $450,000 on the general fund budget, we'll meet with senior management and we'll do it. If we're going to take a step back and say, hey, wait, can Jesse, can Strong Workforce pay it for just 1 more year, pretty please? That'll save the general fund $448,000. However, we know if we don't do it this year in 26, 27, 28, it's automatic. That's going to go in there for us, our general fund. So that's why we show it as a tier 2. We don't know just yet, but we wanted to keep you informed that we might do it if the May revise comes in and our financials look pretty good. So that completes my presentation on base budget augmentations that we'll use to build our tentative budget that we'll take to you in June for your approval in June.
Do you have any questions or comments for Mr. Perez? Thank you for the
Thank you.
Nice
presentation.
job, Ron.
Okay, I'd like to invite Mr. Wilcoxon to sabbatical leave report. Doctor, excuse me.
Thank you, everyone. I'm actually not going to do this presentation. I'm just going to introduce it. So for this year, we had 2 sabbatical proposals. They were both by our 2 full-time philosophy faculty, Dr. Tim Houck and Dr. Timothy Linehan, who is sitting right here next to me. And so Dr. Linehan completed his this past fall, and Dr. Houck is currently working on his. He'll finish it up, and then he will present to the board next fall. So I'm going to actually turn it over and let Dr. Linehan give you a little bit of an overview in terms of what he accomplished. So, thank you, Timothy.
I was under the impression that you were going to do it. I'll just wing it then. Side note, before we get started, Dr. Kelvin, I just wanted to tell you, I've heard you speak passionately many times about the University Center, but I didn't realize your vision, your long-term vision for bringing a Trader Joe's to Visalia until tonight.
I want royalties,
I'm
man.
deeply inspired. Well, good evening. I'm grateful to be here. I'm happy to report back. You see before you a refreshed man, a renewed man after my sabbatical in the fall of 2025. As I'm sure many of you know, sabbatical comes from the original words Sabbath, meaning to rest. And unfortunately, that original proposal, I want to rest, was denied. And so I had to come up with a new sabbatical proposal. So I furthered my research, and it turns out that the original Hebrew is Shabbat, meaning to cease. And when I changed my proposal to cease working, that was denied too. But enough with the jokes. Let's get to the report. The jokes don't get any better. Okay. Well, during the fall, I had several project goals to meet. The first one was basically earning some basic certificates in skill development. We're talking in particular Adobe video editing and Adobe audio editing and all kinds of things that we philosophers don't typically do. I do not work with these hands very often. I work up here, I'm in the clouds, I think for a living. The joke during grad school was my wife would come into the living room and I'm in the lazy boy chair with my eyes closed. And she'd say, "What are you doing?" And I'd say, "I'm working." And so this was brand new to me, and I found it deeply frustrating to learn, in particular, the audio recording. Every breath gets into the audio, every little smack of the lips. In fact, I'll come back from the mic a little bit, but you learn, editing those out takes forever. And so these were all new skills for me. It was very fun. It took a lot of time for me to master these skills. Next, of course, that was all in service to the project of creating videos. So I proposed to create 6 YouTube videos for our students. And then finally, this was really unrelated, but the philosophy department had never offered a zero textbook cost or low textbook cost course, and so I just kind of threw it into the proposal. Oh, I'll work on that too. Why not? So those were the goals of the project, and just to cross the T's and dot the I's, I thought I'd show you. Here's my certificates of completion, authenticated. I really did do the Adobe Premiere course. I finished it, when does it say there? In August, so I got an early start there. And here's my audition audio production for voiceovers. I don't have much of a radio voice, but that's okay. I finished that one in September, and I just kind of worked my way through. There was nothing particularly exciting about these. It's just me putting in the time and the work to master some skills. So let me tell you the story of this thumbnail right here. This is the thumbnail of my very first video that I recorded. This one I started way back when I was starting the courses I just showed there, but I needed something to practice on. So as you see here, this was published in January, but it was my baby that I was changing and re-recording and fixing this and fixing that. It was sort of my sandbox for learning all these skills. So even though I started What is Logic all the way back, I believe in August, it didn't get published until January of this year. So that was the first one, and as you can see, just since January, it's garnered 2,260 views. So proud to report that. It's used in my course. I know my colleague, Tim Hauk, although he jokes or he tells his students to always thumbs down my videos because we have a little rivalry going here, but I know that he assigns my videos too. Yeah. So let's go on to the next one. Going back in time, because I told you that first video took a long time because it was my practice video. This was actually the first published video. And it's quite advanced. It's predicate logic. This is not anything anyone would click on just for fun on YouTube. This is for students who are desperate to learn the material when going to class just isn't enough. Those symbols you see there are meant to flash to a desperate student online like, yes, that's what I don't understand. I need to go learn that. And so the theory is they can watch 15 minutes and come out knowing what they need to know. And as you can see, it's quite popular, even though it's a very niche subject. Over 3,000 students worldwide have viewed this at some point. So I was kind of surprised at the positive reception of that video there. Not much to say here. This is the follow-up video, so if you need an extra 5 minutes for the extra hard stuff in predicate logic, you can take the next step. And don't forget to like and subscribe. No, I'm joking, of course. I would never push youtube.com/letsgetlogical. Where's the camera for at home? Okay. All right. Well, then you can see there's a large space of time where nothing was published because I was working on a series. So YouTube has these, they call them playlists. And so I thought I would take a different approach here and just put out these little 2-minute, 3-minute videos where a student who just wants a single answer to a question they have, a focused question. And I know that this looks like a foreign language. It looks like that for my students too. But those are the various inference rules in a logical system of doing proofs. Modus ponens, modus tollens, hypothetical syllogism, disjunctive syllogism, addition, simplification, and conjunction. And those symbols you see off on the right, that's what students are trying to make sense of. So they can go online, they can find, I find that I keep, as I'm presenting, I'm talking about an imaginary student just kind of going online. But of course, these are embedded in Canvas in my course, and also in a lot of courses around the state, because the back stats on YouTube is very interesting. I can see who's using them and where they're coming from and what countries they're coming from. And so really pleased to see that many fellow philosophy professors are using these in their Canvas course shells. So that was the playlist, and the playlist as a whole has got about 5,000 views. Not much to say here. This was the last video I published. It's got about 1,000 views over that time. So let's take a look here. What did I accomplish in my season of rest and refreshment? About, 12,500 views there, over 667 hours of watch time. And interestingly, my joke is, I'm big in the Philippines. Over 12 countries of viewership there. And so, it's so fun to sort of click in and see.
Is that in
what people
order
were-
of views? Is that in order, any systematic to the way the countries are listed?
No, I just went through the stats, and each time I saw a new country, I jotted it down. But it would be fun to see. I do know that India and Ethiopia in particular, and the Philippines, are probably my 3 highest.
Well, I'm glad to see Portugal made the list.
Okay, it's funny that you said that, because here I'm going to have to fess up a little bit. I got that one from the user stats on the language that they're watching it in. And so I know for sure that Brazil is on there, but I thought there's got to be some Portuguese as well. So, maybe lump together Brazil and Portugal there, even though my Portugal fans won't like that. But I'm guessing there had to be some Portuguese as well. Okay, the last section of the proposal, of course, was this business about lowering costs. And not much to report other than, oops, that's the end. I guess I should have had another line, ding, ding, ding. I achieved that, and am wrapping up this spring semester, the first ever philosophy class with a low textbook cost. And just as a side note, because this is something I believe on principle, I decided to not go fully zero textbook cost because there's just so many books I want my students to read. And one of them I just could not let go. It costs, I don't know, $18 or so. I wanted them to read it, so we're sticking with low textbook cost for now. So there you go. I'll wrap this thing up, but I thought it would be fun to do a quick demonstration if we have the time.
We do.
It'll take more than just a couple of minutes.
Why don't you quiz Trustee Nunes?
Yes, that sounds great.
Well, but only in Portuguese.
In fact, would you do it for me? Sure. That way I can sort of guide the presentation. So I wish John were here. Every lawyer knows you should never do a demonstration or ask a question that you don't know the answer. I don't know how this is going to go because the algorithm changes every day. But I suspect it will go like this. Are you ready? Yes. Search deductive and inductive reasoning. You're a student, you're looking for help.
And one more time?
Deductive, right there at the top. Click that top one. I need help, you say. So let's scroll down. Already I'm disappointed. All right, that one right there, that blue, that one before underneath the 2 women there, that's me. That's The ultimate logic map, deductive versus inductive reasoning. Shall we hit play? Oh, let's skip this. Do we have sound? Let's go ahead and go out of that one. And in any case, there you go, a demonstration that the video lands at the top, what, 3 or 4, 4 or 5? Yeah. Let's try one more. Would you mind searching for me, Kenneth? Are you going for this sound? What is logic? Oh, there it is on the side. Let's search it. What is logic? And there I am. Both of those are mine. Not the top one, but the capybara is our channel, and so is that one there. So there we go. The results are slowly floating to the top of searches, and that's kind of exciting to see. So to wrap up tonight, I'd be happy to take any questions, but I think it's safe to say that given the statistics, that I'm probably in the top 2 or 3 philosophy YouTubers in Tulare County. So thank you very much.
Any other questions or comments?
Did you wear your team COS shirts throughout those?
It's not a bad idea.
It's not a bad idea.
If you'd like to sponsor more videos, I'd be happy to.
I will. Well, as many T-shirts as you need, Timothy. I'm your guy.
Very good. Well, thank you very much. The one thing I just emphasized before I sit down is my thanks to the board for the sabbatical. It's not anything I take for granted. It was a time of real renewal for me. I was able to visit my wife's home country of Bolivia and refresh my Spanish. So that's another side note that's useful and helpful here at COS. And I got to read a lot of philosophy, which day to day in the trenches of answering emails and managing Canvas, I don't get to do as often as I would like. So it was very nice to sharpen the saw, as Stephen Covey would say back in the 90s. Anyone remember the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People? Sharpen the saw. So I want to thank you for that time that you allowed me to do.
Tim, just tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been here, and your and any prior stops and your education background.
Oh, it's a long story, but I'll give you the short version.
Short version.
In 2017, I was in Chicago at a community college, flew out to see my brother who lives on the coast in Santa Maria, and we planned it so that that same trip I could drive over and interview here on campus. And it was a day like this. I had never seen heat like this. I have on my tie, my jacket, and I'm thinking, what is this place? Because the month of the interview was June. It was a very late interview. But in any case, I didn't know anything about Visalia. This is brand new to me, the Central Valley. As Marla Prochnow said when I met her after being hired, she said, Visalia, you get used to it. And I have. I love the Central Valley. I'm up in those mountains as often as I can get up there. And so even though we have no family ties to the valley, no real reason to be here other than that COS drew me here, it's just been a wonderful time. And I'm very thankful to be a part of the mission here and enjoy my job every day.
And you do a great job. And this is the opposite, folks, of brain drain. It's bringing brains to the Central Valley in Visalia. Great to have you here, Timothy. Great job with this tonight.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'd like to invite Ms. Baker or Dr. Wilcoxon.
Wearing a lot of hats tonight, Jesse.
Yeah. So, Elise Baker wasn't able to be here tonight, so I just figured I would step in and at least present a little bit of a summary version. I just want to point out that the packet that you have contains her full written report, which is very lengthy, very detailed, and very thorough. So that is our pretty standard expectation, if you will, from Elise Baker. She is amazing. And so just in again, so we could just briefly hit some of the highlights. Can you go to the next slide, Kenneth, or give me this? It's in terms of our just our overall distance education process, distance education at COS, our DECOS committee, Elise Baker, our distance education coordinator, and so forth. So these are just, again, some of the highlights. In terms of our DE certifications, faculty need to be certified before they can teach online, hybrid, anything online with orientation, anything that has an online component, faculty have to go through a certification or at least be certified. Now there's a few different ways. There's actually 3 that you can actually become DE certified. You can go through our course, which is called Online Certification in Teaching and Accessibility, or OCTA, or you could do the Peer Online Course Review, which we call POCR, or you could actually take a course through an outside institution or some kind of agency, and if it meets our guidelines through our DECOS committee, they will approve it, and you can become certified via that method as well. So the 2 that we primarily do here are OCTA and POCR. These are internal or in-house, if you will, that are run by either Elise Baker, our distance education coordinator, or other faculty who are certified POCR course reviewers, and we have 17 of them. They review 2 to 3 courses, maybe a semester. In terms of the difference, OCTA is really conducted, if you will, by Elise Baker. And that's just some kind of overall stats in terms of successful certifications. We have 63 that have completed thus far, plus the 21 that are going to complete in May. So that's this year. She runs 5 per year, 2 in the fall, 2 in the spring, and then we're doing 1 this summer. Again, just providing as much opportunity as we can for our faculty to become certified. And then the POCR runs twice a year. It's longer, so you can see it's 14 weeks, so we only can do 1 in the fall and then 1 in the spring. And again, that's where we have about 17 certified, if you will, faculty who can do the peer review process. So in total, we have about 141 faculty that have actually earned the update since fall of '24. So we feel pretty good about that. We're meeting the demand, and it's a very popular, well, either of these are both popular. OCTA is really popular. The feedback has been really positive as faculty have gone through that. Okay, so just some examples of different kinds of opportunities that faculty have had in terms of distance education workshops. There's 8 unique ones. You can see some of those have a 1, 2, 3, or 4 beside them, and that's just because they're duplicated or there may be an upgrade from a previous version, but most of the time it's just due to demand. They've offered the same one a couple of times or potentially more. So again, just kind of pointing out the variety of options that faculty have. 122 unique faculty, and by that what we mean is if we just looked at how many participants we had, we'd be way over 122, but that's because a lot of faculty attend multiple workshops just because they're good, and Elise is amazing, and so is our Erin. What is she? Our what? There you go. I lost the thought of that. It's our instructional designer. Okay, so this is just a quick overview. Just kind of trying to point out that we have put a lot of time and effort into our online certification process and the emphasis to teach better online. And this is just a general overview of the increase in success rates by modality from 2021-2022 to 2025-2026. Notice that face-to-face, they've all gone up, so we're trending upward in all areas, which is great. But again, the more important one, at least in terms of distance education, is that online and hybrid are both trending upward, and online has actually increased quite a bit, if you will. That's where we've made our biggest gains, which is encouraging because this was a really big hurdle, if you will, when we underwent accreditation, the regular substantive interaction, and we really worked hard to overcome this. One of the things that Elise is mentioned in the more detailed handout that you all have is how much time and effort we put into meeting the requirements for ACCJC, but there was also some reactiveness in there. And right now, we are pushing to not be reactive anymore. We're trying to be proactive, and so we don't expect that, in 7 or 8 years when we come back to the accreditation cycle, we're going to be pushing last-minute, efforts to actually meet the criteria that's laid out before us. We think we're going to do much better because of the efforts that we're putting in on a regular basis. So I'm just going to kind of end with this. Other things, one of the things that's on the horizon, if you will, is Title II and accessibility. We thought we were going to have an implementation deadline of April 24th of this year, but that was extended by another year, which is nice, if you will, but we're also just something that we're not letting it, fall off the radar, if you will, just because it's a year away. So we have Elise and Aaron have actually co-designed and deployed a self-paced Canvas accessibility training course, which is in Canvas. It's not mandatory, but faculty can go through that, and it really does a lot to help them understand what their courses need to be like or how they need to be set up, the headings, font size, color, contrast. There's so many different aspects to meeting Title II ADA requirements, and that Canvas course that they've set up really does a lot. The requirements for meeting Title II accessibility are also built into Okta and POCR, so anybody who completes those trainings, either one, will have inevitably met the accessibility requirements. And so that's been something that we really have focused on, and we're really going to make a hard push for that over the next year. DECO's initiatives, again, you can see there they conducted targeted marketing for POCR and Okta trainings. Again, that's been a huge push for us over the last year. Collective vision feedback to identify workshops that are going to be most relevant, the whatever faculty feel that they want. They've made an effort to provide what faculty want and not, and have a lot of people present at those trainings. Working with the scheduling and technology to communicate online course requirements and expectations. Again, updating the POCR process framework. We've been working on that this year. So there's just been a lot in terms of that committee and what they've done, what they've accomplished, and what they're going to continue to do. Elise has just been a really solid driving force on that committee as well. And then just to end it with ZTC, Zero Textbook Costs, or OER, Open Educational Resources, and AI. Those are all three big hot button topics. We have 25 adoptable zero cost course shells. So if you go and you want to teach a course and it's one of these 25, you can actually take that Canvas shell and you can import it, and it will give you kind of the outline, if you will, and you can teach that course at no cost to our students. It provides all the resources readily available. So me coming in as a psychology instructor, if that course is available and I don't know much about it, maybe I'm a part-timer, I could just adopt that course outline for that Canvas shell, and boom, there it is. Now I just take it. Obviously I'm going to modify it and update and so forth, make it my own, if you will, but you have an amazing starting point that is zero textbook costs. So that's been an amazing thing for our students. A growing course outline and record, ZTC resource collection. So we have 18 course outlines of record that are actually available in terms of zero textbook cost. Again, you can see that the trend here is trying to go towards what makes things free or low cost for our students. That's a big push. And then the last one there is just a picture of, we had a group of 14 faculty that were participated in AI in service of Zero Textbook Cost Institute. It was actually conducted and ran through Stanford University. We did that with a grant that we had, and the faculty reported that being a very positive experience. Again, as you know, artificial intelligence here, AI it's definitely a big issue that we're trying to work with through faculty. A lot of different perspectives on that, and so that was another very informative process that they all went to. And that's it. So that's just kind of, that was again the presentation that Elise had compiled. Again, her regrets for not being able to be here tonight. So I just wanted to say publicly that I appreciate Elise's time and effort. And again, if you read her report, you'll see everything detailed out there. But I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone might have.
Any questions or comments?
I would just echo to pass along to her the very thorough report and very informative.
Yes, I will do.
Kind of progressive. It
Yes.
shows kind of where we're going and where
Yeah.
we've been.
Yeah. Thank you.
Oh,
sorry.
One quick thing.
Yes, sir.
No, I just want to echo the hot topic of AI. The conference we attended, there's a lot of conversation about faculty and students and really embracing AI. And it sounds like there's some great options for them to.
Yes.
Some coursework, so, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Moving on to item 6, consideration of options to increase public access. Dr. Calvin.
Thank you, President Macareno. I appreciate the opportunity to have a larger discussion on this. Information only, I don't know that we even will need to have an action item. I'm just trying to build consensus. And first, my apologies. It's kind of comical, is that we're talking about SB 707 and changes to the Ralph M. Brown Act. And in what I wrote up for Kennetha, I put Ralph M. Parsons Act. And I didn't pull Parsons out of the air. You'll recall that a quarter century ago, I had a previous life in engineering, and Ralph M. Parsons is one of the largest engineering firms in the world. And the largest job I ever worked or had a piece of was the East Side Reservoir project out near Hemet, and Ralph M. Parsons Company was our client. And it's just, I wouldn't even have caught it because I just see Ralph M. Parsons and it just makes sense. But as I came in here for the meeting, Kennetha says, "Hey, who's Ralph M. Parsons?" So my apologies. Where you see Parsons, substitute in Brown because it's the Ralph M. Brown Act. And there were some significant updates. I've given you an attorney's overview of it. There's some on the back table back there as well. There have been some major updates to it, but most of the major updates have been geared towards what they refer to as eligible legislative bodies, cities, counties, and large special districts, and they specifically excluded, the legislature has specifically excluded community colleges and K through 12 districts. That doesn't mean that we can't do anything and everything that they're requiring the eligible legislative bodies, the ELBs, to do, but they're not required of us. In terms of what's required of us, we're required, not just recommended, but we're required to provide a copy of the Brown Act to any new trustee. That we certainly did that for Mr. Aguilar, and I think I provided a fresh copy for all of our board members at the beginning of the year. It also clarifies and maybe answers questions about the COVID era meeting requirements, especially for subsidiaries, like smaller committees and subsidiaries of boards. They made it a lot easier, for instance, for our student senate that meets in here every Tuesday, made it a lot easier if someone's sick to be able to dial in and not have to post their address and some things like that. And so it has made some things easier. The big item is it now requires all cities, counties, special districts to do two-way electronic communication. So whether it's Zoom or YouTube, it requires those ELBs to offer that, and also to provide an opportunity for folks to provide public comment remotely. And I know we got comment, I think, at our last meeting that we're one of the few that doesn't offer that. And it just didn't strike me as, somebody mentioned earlier, all the board meetings I go to, I present it at all of our feeder high school districts and KCOE, TCOE. I just polled everyone. Well, I'm on several different committees with the entire group. I think it was 14 different educational institutions, and only 2 of them provide a live stream with public comments. There's 2 others that provide a live stream, so 4 out of 14 that are currently doing live stream, which is a long way from us being one of the few that don't. We're one of, in addition to those 4, I think there's one other one in us that film and then post. And we could certainly change that. We could live stream. It'd probably be easier for us just to live stream. It wouldn't be as user-friendly because you'd have some time on the front end and the back end that wouldn't be trimmed out like we do when we post, but at least people could watch live stream. In terms of the, so I feel like we're already in compliance with what we're supposed to be in compliance with in terms of SB 707. It's just a matter if we want to do more than what's required of us, and if we want to transition from a film and post to a live stream, I don't have an issue with that. I would pump the brakes on offering public comment remotely. We've seen that in the past. We've saw it through COVID, and folks, it may end up being a requirement for us. The legislators may see fit to include us, but until then, I wouldn't necessarily jump into that. The comments we hear about community members wanting to make public comment is, it makes me chuckle a little bit because our community members are not waiting a month to come and talk to you about things that are on their mind. From parking issues to students parking on Woodland and maybe leaving their trash in the gutter, to our tennis lights being left on too late after a jog walk class, to maybe a broken sprinkler in lot 7, to the backup on Mooney when Dutch Bros first opened, amplified sound in our parking lots, their individuals' tax bills, the need maybe for a new program. I get a lot of calls or visits or whatever from industry members about, we need an elevator repair program, to maybe some frustration from a grandparent or a parent about not getting into the nursing program or whatever. You name it, we hear about it, and we're not waiting 4 weeks to hear it. We're hearing it in real time, either calls, emails. You guys know the amount of public presentations that I do. It'll come up in Q&A or afterwards. I always have time to speak with people. It comes up in grocery stores, at church, concerts at the Fox Theater, intermission. Like, that's our job. Like, talk to me or any of our administrators, and you as board members. We're taking in public comment all the time, and I feel like the problem sometimes with the efforts for remote public comment is it ends up being a few special interests. We've had an issue 3 or 4 years ago regarding sabbaticals. Now, Dr. Linehan just crushed it, did a great job, but there are certain requirements, and any time that the board maybe has a suggestion, that's not always well taken, and sometimes it ends up in public comments. And it's one thing to do it here in our boardroom. It's quite another to kind of load the deck and have people just chiming in remotely about it. Here recently, we've talked about there's been an effort to push us to provide full benefits to anyone teaching 6 hours a week, and that's fine. That's a discussion that needs to happen, maybe more appropriate at the table. But if we have to have it occasionally here, we can. But I also think it's more appropriate to have it here in our boardroom. And I serve at the pleasure of this board, so if you guys decide differently, then let me know. I just felt like it was important to counter any thought that we're the last bastion of institutions that are, that aren't doing live stream and/or offering remote comments. We're 10 of 13 or 14 that are not doing that. Happy to answer any questions that you might have. I guess the other thing that comes up occasionally, just in my talks with colleagues, is people say, well, you know, it's not required of you, but you could certainly do it if you want, and we absolutely could do it. We absolutely could do it if we wanted to, and if the board pleases, then, you know, we'll get after it and not have an issue with it. But if only that was flip-flopped, then we asked our cities and our counties and our special districts to live by some of the state laws that we have too. And I just put together 6 off the top of my head on my way in here. Tenure, none of them have to follow tenure laws. March 15th notices, 100 days of half pay for classified staff members that run out of PTO. The 39-month rehire list for folks that run out of 100 days of half pay and would still have a right to their position if and when we hired that position again. The 50% law governing where our budgets have to be spent at, and the 75-25 law governing the percentage of full-time faculty that we need to employ. You saw that we're hiring 16 new and 7 replacement faculty. We think it's a good practice to have as many full-timers as possible because they're on campus longer and so forth, better continuity and all that sort of thing. But it's tough to run a business when someone from the state is telling you how many of different things you have to. Cities and counties certainly don't have that obligation, but we do. So the fact that somebody else has something that they need to conform to and it hasn't come down to us yet, I think should be considered. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Questions or comments for Dr. Calvin?
I don't have any questions, just maybe 3 points as you were talking, and as I've been kind of thinking. You know, one is that SB 707 specifically excluded community colleges, and I think that's not insignificant. We're not included in what the legislature had intended to address. And as I said before, you know, just being around and watching legislation and so on, you know, it tends to be as a result of somebody doing something wrong. So, you know, well, let's make a law to take care of that so that so as to prevent that from someone else to repeat that ill. And I don't know whether it's obvious to everyone, but it seems obvious to me that if we were specifically excluded from this legislation, then we're not seen as a, quote, guilty party or someone who is not sensitive to the transparency of government. Secondly, I think that, you know, we've demonstrated that transparency is important to this board, and we continue to amend our governance practices to include things as we see that are appropriate and are helpful to the community, and to live by legislative requirements that are placed upon us. So those are the points that.
Thank you, Trustee Lane. I would clarify that the portions of the Brown Act revision do apply to us, and we're already conforming. It's just kind of this new, the requirement to do two-way live streaming with some other requirements is not, it's only required of the eligible legislative bodies.
Correct. Thank you. Trustee Nunes?
Yeah, I had a couple of comments and a question or two. I did watch, I did go back and watch last month's meeting, and so I heard the discussion and the questions and comments that took place at the meeting, so I'm familiar with that. The one question I would have is, it was stated that only 4 out of 14 of our of other school districts in the area do the two-way live stream. And that seems consistent with what I've seen as well, but do we know?
Two do the two-way.
Only 2 do
Only
the
two.
two-way?
Lindsay and Visalia, you do the
Okay.
two-way.
And,
2 more do live stream as opposed to film and post like
okay,
we do.
correct, okay, got it. So do we know what our neighbors and statewide, what our junior college?
I didn't poll everybody, no.
Yeah, I
just-
know you would.
I just looked at, the only other community college district in our district here is West Hills, and so I checked on them, and they do neither.
They do
Neither. Yeah. Nor do they post, nor do they video and post.
So then, just a couple other comments. I would not oppose, or I would even be in favor of doing, of heading towards the live streaming of our meetings. I don't know what the timing would be and what it would take to do that, but so I would certainly be in favor of that.
We did that through COVID. We could do that again rather easily if it was the board's.
I think that may be a good thing to do. And I know at some point, depending on the legislature, we may be forced to do the other provisions of that as well. The other thing I would point out is that under the public comment section, I know that we changed our format today, and I don't think that was, I can't recall if that was talked about at the last meeting, or is that just
For the action items, yeah.
for the action? So is that a policy that, or is that something that needs to be discussed if we're doing that? If we're going to do that on a regular basis, in other words, ask for public input on each agenda item. I'm certainly not opposed to that, and I don't even know if was that part of the AB 707, or is that just our own decision as to how we do that?
And that is the Ralph M. Brown Act that we're following.
Yeah. Yeah, previously, we had a choice, and then I think it's recommended that on action items, we give the public another
Okay, so-
bite at the apple.
Yeah, so I'm certainly in favor of doing that. And that's, I think, pretty much consistent with some of the other public agencies that do it. So I guess suffice it to say, I'm in favor of live streaming, if that's what the pleasure of the other board members are.
Well, for me, coming as an administrator from Visalia Unified, I'm accustomed to that practice in the board meetings that I always attended and participated in. So if we move in that direction towards the live streaming, it's not going to be any different than what I've already experienced. So I don't have any objection to that idea. I do, though, recognize that being an attorney myself, if the law doesn't require us to do certain things, then we're really not required to do certain things. So I'm more in line with what Trustee Nunes is talking about in terms of the live streaming. I don't see that to be a huge imposition in terms of what we do. We film it already. I don't know the interactions or the things that need to get done to make that happen. I'm assuming it's not a difficult process. I just don't know those
Live
details.
streaming could conceivably be easier. It's
And
just
so-
the finished product that ends up online is just not as professional, because we film, we trim the beginning and the end, and, That's all. There's just, we've preferred that in the past. Through COVID, we did live stream, and it's not a problem.
So it's a practice I'm familiar with, so I don't see any.
Is it technology is probably not my forte.
No,
That's the
it would be, I think we'd do a YouTube. We'd have it on YouTube, and then it would just be captured there for, for future audiences.
Which it is already on YouTube. It just,
Yep.
it just comes
It'd be-
in at, after the fact.
Yep.
So we're
Yep.
just changing it.
I'm in agreement or in the same consensus as the board. My interest is to share maybe a consideration of building towards being prepared, like being a plan of action if it were to become something that's mandated. So not necessarily, implement all the recommendations, I guess you'd say, from SB 707, but the investment of time to be prepared for it. And if the board wishes to live stream, I would support that as well. I don't have anything against that. But live stream and a readiness plan for.
Is there momentum out there that's suggesting that SB 707 is going to move towards districts such as us and school districts? No? Okay.
No, not at all. I have not heard that. I think anytime one public institution, it happens, you kind of think, well, that may come our way. Sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. But no, there's not like a phase, one phase and a second phase that we're anticipating, no.
What direction would you like to give, President?
I think I'm hearing a consensus to move forward with the live stream, is what I'm hearing.
Is this something we have to take action now, or just
No,
something?
This
to build
is
a consensus?
information.
You don't take action
Yeah, it's
anytime.
just information.
You just give me a little direction. So a preference for live stream, we can certainly do that. We'll be prepared to do it in June, and I think it'll be fine.
Okay, any other questions or comments? All right, thank you very much, Dr. Calvin. Moving on to the consent calendar. All items listed on the consent calendar are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion. An item may be removed from the consent calendar at the request of any member of the Board of Trustees or any person in the audience, and considered a separate agenda item. The items are minutes of the previous meeting, personnel report, payment of bills, 2025, 2026 working budget approval, out-of-state travel request. Out-of-country travel request. If there are no items to be pulled, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by trustee Lane, seconded by trustee Aguilar. Any further discussion, comments?
Did you want to give the public?
I'm sorry?
Do you want to give the public an opportunity to weigh in?
Well, if there's any discussion or comments. Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to action item, consideration of governing board elections. Dr. Calvin.
Thank you, President Macareno. This will be a roll call vote. The Ed Code requires governing boards to adopt and deliver to our county superintendent a resolution which orders the election for this November for wards 1, 2, and 5 in November of 2026. And so we need a roll call vote to order the consolidation of those elections for November. You see the backup, what it would look like there as well, the resolution looks like.
I move for adoption of resolution 2026-02.
Motion by trustee Nunes,
I'll second that motion.
second by trustee Aguilar. Before taking action on them, I will open the public comment to anyone who wishes to speak on this item. Okay, seeing none, again, motion by, yes.
Clarification, I didn't notice any specific reference to this being sent to a particular board or county office, but I just wanted to ensure that it was also sent to the, I mean, there's reference to Kings County election certainly here, but you'd referenced sending to the county superintendent, so I presume it goes to the Kings County equivalent as well.
We will. Let's make a note of that. We should copy KCOE. TCOE is just pretty on this and sends us all this information, so I think we have their paperwork, but we generally send KCOE the same thing we send TCOE. But thank you for that clarification and reminder.
Thank you. It was motioned by trustee Nunes, second by trustee Aguilar. We'll now take a roll call vote.
Trustee Nunes.
Aye.
Trustee Aguilar.
Aye.
Trustee Lane.
Aye.
Trustee Macarena.
Thank you very much. Moving on to item 13, board policies, first read, Dr. Calvin.
Thank you, President Macarena. We have 8 BPs. You're seeing them for the first time.
8. Lord.
8 of them, that's right. In fact, Kenneth even asked me, how many BPs can the board handle at one time? And I said, most of them can handle 8, but I'm not sure about Nunes. We may have to break Nunes's up into 2 meetings. Will they be reading these for the second time in June, or do we skip? Yeah.
Second time in June.
Okay,
Because they've
so
already
you,
been approved by-
okay. You'll see them for a second time in June for approval, but happy to answer any questions you might have about them.
The credit card solicitation is just companies on site being able to promote a credit card, is that correct?
Correct,
Okay.
yes. That's recommended by the league as well. As you know, the California Community College League of, or the Community College League of California puts out recommended language for all of our BPs as well as administrative procedures as they come up. So we're following their advice there.
Before the board discusses or takes action on this item, I'll open public comment to anyone who wishes to speak on this item. Not seeing none, any comments or discussion on the board policies in your review?
Just a comment, the student equity one seems to be more consistent now with kind of the format of board policies where we acknowledge the issue and then, sort of pass it on to the procedural
Yes, the AP,
action. So
correct.
I think that's consistent. I would say just from a personal bent that the student credit card solicitation from a policy standpoint is fine. From a procedure standpoint, I would hope it would be as strong as we can to help prevent students from inadvertently getting into debt. Other than that, I have no.
We don't see much of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Vice President of Student Services, Jessica Morrison, is shaking her head back there. We just don't see much of that, and it's not something that some college campuses, it's.
What would that look like? What would that be?
Well, I remember when I was at Cal Poly, and to get free movie tickets, you sign up for a credit card. I got a $250 credit limit, and I got free tickets to movies, and I had my first credit card in college. And
There's some credit.
It's been downhill ever since, right?
There's some predatory practices out there for this sort of thing, and that's just never been
So what,
our thing.
yeah, so having said that, do we have procedures that regulate this? Because the,
Yeah,
5570, so this is a board policy, and so.
The administrative procedure goes into depth on it.
Oh, I'm sorry, say that again?
Goes into quite depth of what we're allowed to do. In practice, we just don't allow much of that. It's not a free speech situation where they can just come on and do this. We have to let speakers come on and talk about whatever they want to. And that alone gets us into some hot water because our poor students think that we've invited some of these free speechers that you see on YouTube. And it's really frustrating, but this is not something that we have to allow, although a lot of colleges do. They take money from these companies and/or their ATM machines and all that sort of thing. It's just not something we do. But the BP and AP are required by law for us to have them on the books. Anything to add?
Yeah, I'm just gonna add that, through the Giant Marketplace, we offer, financial literacy. We have a partnership with the, credit unions, locally. So they'll come and hold financial literacy, meetings, and not a solicitation for their credit union either, but really just talk about percentage rates and what's happening when you miss a monthly payment. And, felt like a lot of our students right when they turned 18, gotten them and already got themselves in hot water. So we also provide how you get that paid off and what you need that for. So, again, like Dr. Calvin was saying, we've been super fortunate that they, MasterCard folks and people haven't just swept in through here. We have been lucky in that regard too. But yeah.
Good, thank you. Okay, if, I will entertain a motion for the approval of the first reading of the board policies as presented.
I would so move.
Motion by trustee Aguilar, seconded by trustee Lane. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All righty, well, actually, there's another item there. Future agenda items, states none. Okay.
Didn't receive it, no.
So with that, I want to thank everyone for your attendance today and look forward to seeing you at graduation or at the next board meeting. Have a great meeting. Have a great evening.